Hey, it's Jason Kochis. I am back with another inking video. This time I'm trying something different. I'm going to try and ink a drawing digitally in Clip Studio Paint. So you can see I took a video during this process. Now it took a little time for me to figure out all the layers and everything in Clip Studio Paint. I'm familiar with layers from other programs like Photoshop, Illustrator, all that kind of stuff, but I wanted to try and use Clip Studio Paint. I'm working on my manga. If you're not familiar with my channel, I've been working on a manga for a little while now, and I've been inking everything traditionally, but I do want to ultimately add the halftone dot screens digitally. I got Clip Studio Paint for that purpose, mostly, but I've seen a lot of other artists use this software to create their comic books, their manga, all that kind of stuff. So I just wanted to give it a try doing that as well. I have a tablet that I am using. It's a Huion Canvas Pro 13 to do this with. The video's accelerated a little bit just because I didn't want it to make a very, very long video. But yeah, here I am just going through. I am using the classic G pen. You can see it up in the left-hand corner. The one thing I do like so far about this process is if I make a mistake, I can just hit Control Z or Apple Z and undo it. It's pretty cool, where if I'm working traditionally, I've got to get some white ink out, all that kind of stuff, or I have to try to correct the line that I'm working on with the brush. For the most part, this was a pretty painless process. Now, this wasn't the very first time I've used Clip Studio Paint. I've used it other times, but this is the first time I've used it for any sort of imagery related to my manga. And if you are curious about that, I have a Patreon where you can see me chronicle all of the process that I'm going through. Not, on YouTube, I have the videos of me working on the manga. In my Patreon, I have, images, behind the scenes stuff of me working on it, creating it. So I've got the rough pencils, and I've got the inking. Just a lot more detail going on in Patreon. So right here, originally drew this in my sketchbook, this image. The character of Koji here, my character, his hand went off the page, so I'm trying to figure out how to do it, make it look, accurate in Clip Studio Paint. So this is a little bit different. The other part of the image I had already drawn, so I'm just sort of inking over my lines and correcting things as I go along. But here I'm actually creating the hand and the drawing 100% digital, so that's a little bit strange for me. It's taken me a little bit of time, as you can see, to just get it right. I probably will go back to it a little bit later in the video. And again, just making some lines a little bit thicker. I should probably say, when I started the process, I have a fully white background, 100% white background, and then I have my sketch drawing on top of that I made transparent 50%. And then I've created a third layer on top of all of that, and I'm just using black ink with the G pen. That way I'm not inking directly on my sketch, and then I can have a clean image. I could turn off the sketch layer, and then I just have the white background underneath it, so it's nice and clean. The one thing I did not expect when I started using Clip Studio Paint and the tablet was the pressure sensitivity. So I'm able to make somewhat thin lines if I just pull up, if I don't press down quite as hard. And it looks like I'm using a 7-point line at the moment. Circles are a little difficult to get correct, just, freehanding like that. There may be other tools to use in Clip Studio Paint. I'm really new at using this, so there may be easier ways to create the things I want to, and the shapes I want to make. I'm just trying to do this all by hand. This panda character, his name is Maru. It's definitely a fun character to draw. He has a lot of expression. A lot more silly than Koji, and definitely contributes to them getting into some trouble, some incidents in my story. Again, if you're curious about more of that, please consider joining my Patreon. I've got 2 levels on my Patreon right now, just the main level, and then the second one is a sticker club where you get a sticker mailed to your door every month, anywhere in the world. It's only $5, and you gain access to videos like this early. You'll see sketches and other work that I'm working on as well. I work as a freelance designer, and so I'm always, working on other projects like posters, album covers for bands, logos, a whole bunch of different stuff. Other comics. Right here, you may have noticed that I drew through the leg, and I knew that I was going to be able to delete digitally. I could just go ahead and delete that out. Sometimes I'll do that when I'm working traditionally as well, where I'll just white out or use white ink to take out the line in an area that I don't want it to be in. I'm probably making this look very easy, but that's just because the video is accelerated. But yeah, overdrawing, definitely something that I learned by watching other videos, other artists. That was just like, draw the line. If you make a mistake, you can just white it out. I think that was multiple people. I think Joe Kubert was one of the more recent ones I had heard say that. If you make a mistake, don't worry, just white it out. Editing that hand a little bit before I spot all the blacks in. When I did this, I've used Clip Studio Paint since this time, but when I made this video, I didn't realize that I could expand my selections. So for like Koji's hair, I could have selected that whole area and then grew my selection a little bit. What I did in this video was I actually went in all the little corners where maybe, it didn't go all the way. I'm just filling it in with ink, with the stylus pen here, so. Thankfully, this is accelerated. This took definitely a long time to do in real time, but yeah, as you can see, I'm just going in and sort of cleaning up the little areas where it didn't fill completely into the shapes. Not 100% sure what I'm going to do with this image. I've considered using it as the cover. I'm still about halfway through inking my manga traditionally. And so this image is sort of outside of all that, outside of the main story. And I do need a cover, so this could be the cover, possibly back cover. Again, not sure at this point. Let me know in the comments below if you think it should be the cover or the back cover, or, maybe just like a spot illustration. Could be a poster, maybe a t-shirt. Let me know in the comments below. I'm still trying to figure the program out a little bit at this point, so there may be some lulls where I'm not really doing anything super exciting. Looks like I'm still going in and trying to fill in those areas around the shapes where it didn't fill 100%. And then this is a pretty cool part of the digital process here for me. Ordinarily, I'd have to be adding these white parts in with white ink, but on the computer it's a lot easier. I just wanted to show Maru's arm and leg sort of going in front of those other shapes. And now I'm going to try to add in some of the halftone dots, the screen tone dots, sort of experimenting to try to get the right dot size and shape. Takes a little bit of time for me to get it right. Again, I haven't printed this out, so I don't know what it's going to do. But the image is 11 by 17, so again, I may have to adjust these based on where I get it printed. The really cool thing about Clip Studio Paint that I discovered was you can see there's actually 2 separate layers on top of the drawing layer. And for each different percentage of the halftone, it creates its own layer. So anything you do with that percentage will be on that layer, which is pretty cool. I didn't know it could do that. Everything would be all on one layer, and I'd have to keep jumping back and forth between the different percentages. Whenever you have the same percentage, it goes back onto that same layer. So pretty cool. And I do like that you can go in and, delete, from these layers. Almost finished, I think. And here we go. So this is the digitally inked version of this drawing of Koji and Maru from my original manga. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider liking, subscribing, joining me on Patreon. Thanks so much for watching. See you again next time.